Good morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock, and that means it's my favorite time of week. It's training time, and it's time to get started here with this session where we'll talk a little bit about Medicare Supplement and PDP plans and building those benefits to complement Original Medicare. So building that PB&J sandwich, right? You can have Original Medicare on its own. You can have a Medicare supplement, but everything really works together when you have the Original Medicare, the MedSup, and the PDP all working together. So good time to talk about all that kind of stuff here this morning, and great time to refresh yourself on some of this information here today because AHIP just came out last Monday. Carrier discounts are now active and through at least United Healthcare, likely a few others out there as well you may be working with. And so it's a really good time to get that certification out of the way so you can be ready when product certifications launch later this year. My name is Randy Lober, Growth Marketing Manager here at Action Benefits, and part of my role is to help you all get up to speed and grow your business. And one way we do that is making sure you know all the ins and outs of compliancy stuff, and that's the spirit of today's session. Joined today by Kevin, one of our account managers from the individual team. Kevin, would love for you to say hi before we go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend it with us. I hope you learn a lot. And after this webinar, I hope you get ready for a great 4th of July weekend.
Absolutely. That's coming ever closer. We all have some of us have big plans for the weekend, and we're looking forward to them. So let's talk about what we want to get done here today. We want to make sure that we take a close look at enrollment rules. I took my AHIP on Friday afternoon, just because it's one of those things that you make time for and carve out in your week. And there was quite a bit of questions about enrolling, switching, and dropping plans and changing plans. So a good time to talk about those. We'll also take a look at some costs and functions of Medicare supplement plans, really compare how the standardized plans work, because you will see a question or two about those. And then we'll shift gears and look at PDPs because they go together just like peanut butter and jelly. Take a look at enrollment rules, late enrollment penalties, those sorts of things. You are well prepared to help both your beneficiaries and to pass your exam. Before we get started, though, I'd love to know a little bit more about who's in the room with us here today. So please put the letter that best describes you in the chat. Is it A, you're brand new to working with Action and working in the Medicare market? B, you're new to working with Action, but you have experience in the Medicare market? C, you have some experience with Action and the Medicare market, but you're here for a refresher to get ready for your AHIP exam? Or is it D, you're a seasoned pro, you just love spending time with Action? You saw that Randy and Kevin were talking Medicare supplements. You said, hey, there's nothing I like better in my day than listen to those three things happen. Please go ahead and put the letter in the chat that best describes you. Excellent. And as a reminder, you're always welcome to chat either publicly, as many of you have done, or privately, as some of you have done. So you can choose that little blue drop-down window, whether just Kevin and I see your responses, if there's something you want to say privately, or the whole entire room can see your responses. Good mix of C's and D's here today. No one new to Action, no one new to the industry. But that's okay. The point of today's session is that bit of refresher. So if you're a C, you're here for the refresher, you're in the right place. And if you love us, well, we love you too. Thanks for joining us here this morning. And we hope you are well refreshed and ready for your exam as soon as you're ready to take it. Let's go ahead and talk about Medicare Supplement, Medigap, two interchangeable terms. You'll see them used in a variety of different ways through different carriers. They call them different things. As experienced agents, seasoned agents, you know that they're the same thing. We will talk a bit about how these policies, though, no matter what you call them, help to cover costs, limit expenses, and expand benefits to your clients who may be enrolled in Original Medicare. So Medicare supplement policies, and again, we're starting from the basics here as a refresher. These Medicare supplement policies place some of the health costs that Original Medicare doesn't cover. So they sit right in the middle between Part A and B and really help pay for deductibles on Part A or Part B, depending on the plan design and when your client was eligible to enroll in Medicare. They help pay for some or all of the co-pays your clients might face on original Medicare, and they pay for some or all of the co-insurance your clients might also be responsible for here as well. But again, Medicare Supplement, with some exceptions, doesn't add additional benefits to original Medicare coverage. So we should make that very clear, unless, of course, there's a dental or a vision discount or a fitness plan all embedded in the plan design, embedded in the benefits. But generally speaking, these are going to help pay for the cost sharing that your clients might face on Medicare Parts A and B here. So we should talk about eligibility here first and how these plans function. Of course, you know, as seasoned agents, that they require both Part A and B to enroll. So you got to have them both if you're going to choose a MedSup. These are, of course, sold by private carriers, and they always act as secondary payers. So original Medicare is going to pay first. The Medicare Supplement policy is going to pay whatever is left over on those claims, as long as it's included in the plan design and policy. We should know, and your client should know, they're always responsible for a monthly premium for their Medicare Supplement policy. If you've taken a look at rates or you've written one lately, you know that rates are going ever upward here. Good idea to understand why those rates are going that way. And Kevin or anyone on the team can talk with you about what's going on in the broader market and help you position that for your clients. But neither here nor there, you know that they charge monthly premiums, and you should know that Medicare supplements are guaranteed renewable if they are one of the standardized plans. So you're not working in one of the three states that does things their own way with MedSup, your Wisconsins and those sorts of things. We should also note, because gosh, there's language that looks a lot like this on AHIP. These Medicare supplement plans do not replace original Medicare. You've got to be an A and B to get a MedSup. And I know that sounds silly, especially if you're a seasoned agent, but AHIP will try to trick you with some of the wording on that. They do not cover Part B premiums, so there is no Part B give back policy or no policy that gives a Part B give back in all or in part when you're looking at the MedSup market. And we should also note that, like every other Medicare product, these are individual products. So you can't enroll a spouse, can't enroll a dependent on the Medicare supplement, either on the same policy at least. The spouse would have to have their own policy here. There's no prescription drug coverage embedded in these because you need a Part D plan for that drug coverage. So we want to make sure your clients know that as well. And we should also note, and gosh, I saw at least 3 questions Friday afternoon about this. Supplement plans do not work with Medicare Advantage plans. In fact, it is illegal. And I want to emphasize that in like big, bold letters. It's illegal to sell a Medicare Advantage plan to someone in a Medicare Supplement plan and vice versa. You can't enroll them in one when they have the other. You have to work through the disenrollment process and so on and so forth. But just make sure you're aware of that. And I think it was on the question bank I got, that was letter D, if you're looking for some of the questions there. Should also note that some things are not baked into your supplement policy. So long-term care, Medicare really doesn't have an answer for long-term care if you need that. And Medicare supplement is not the answer for that as either, but we can take a look at short-term care and long-term care policies a bit later in our discussions here. Do not cover private duty nursing. There is no prescription drug coverage here, nor is there vision, dental, or hearing care baked into a MedSup. Although, as I'm sure you know, as seasoned sellers, carriers have begun to offer DVH packages or discount programs to help address those benefits. And again, you always have the option. And again, one more question that you might want to take note of. Your folks always have the option to enroll in a standalone dental, vision, and or hearing plan, in addition to their Medicare supplement plan as well. So certainly a possibility. I would take that note here as well because I ran into one question or so about that. We should also talk about what is not Medigap. All of these types of coverage can supplement Medigap. They can supplement original Medicare rather, but they are not Medigap or Medicare supplement policies. So a Medicare Advantage plan, of course, is not Medigap. Neither is a PDP. Neither is Medicaid, though you can have someone that qualifies for Medicaid and get help paying for their Part A or B premiums through their Medicare savings programs. It's not the same as having a Medigap plan. Employer or union plans, including FEH, BP, again, not a plan here. TRICARE and veterans benefits are separate coverage here as well. LTIC policies and anything covered by the Indian Health Service, tribal or urban Indian health plans. None of those are Medigap plans either. All of them, again, can work to coordinate or supplement with original Medicare coverage or other sources of private coverage, but they're not the kinds of coverage we're talking about here today. All that said, how would you, seasoned sellers, best describe Medicare Supplement plans? Is it A, they completely erase original Medicare or replace original Medicare? B, they're usually primary payers. C, they're secondary payers that help with some or all of the cost sharing your clients would face on original Medicare? Or is it D, Medicare Supplement plans may be purchased without the beneficiary having first enrolled in original Medicare? Which answer or answers are correct? Yep, we're getting the brain muscles flexing here this morning. If you're saying C, you're correct. They are secondary payers and they do cover some or all of that cost sharing associated with original Medicare. Again, you might see a question or two about that here as well. Out of the 50 you might get served. So thank you for those of you weighing in, Keith and Jacob. I don't know if you're sitting next to each other or copying off each other or what the answer might be, but interesting you both came in at the same time there. Kevin, anything to add here about MedSup before we go forward?
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, if you're enrolling on a Medicare supplement plan, you need Part A and B in order to apply. If you are ever in a situation where you need to verify if your client is showing active for Parts A and B, please give us a call because we have carrier tools that allow us to confirm if they have an active Part A and B. And reaching out to us, you'll get a much quicker answer than if you called the carrier direct.
Correct, or 1-800-Medicare, because we know hold times are getting longer a bit there after some recent restructuring in the department. Call us first. Excellent point, Kevin. So let's talk about these policies for a bit. Let's talk about enrolling, switching, and dropping. I ran into a question or two about guaranteed issue rights. So want to make sure we are familiar with those or refreshed with those going forward. So generally speaking, two big windows you can use to enroll in Medicare supplement policies. You can use your Medicare supplement or Medigap open enrollment period. Talk on that in just a moment. And outside of that enrollment period, you can enroll in Medigap at any time throughout the year, but the rights you have when you're enrolling, either guaranteed issue or non-guaranteed issue rights, can impact your rates and eligibility for coverage, again, depending on the carrier. So let's go ahead and get started. To the question in the chat from the anonymous asker, by the way, someone asked anonymously, are we going to send this slide deck your way? Happy to do that. Also send you a full recording of this 24 hours from now. So you'll be able to hear me talk through this stuff here as well. What are we talking about? We're talking about Medicare Supplement, Medigap, your enrollment opportunities. That open enrollment period is that 6-month period beginning when two things are true. The beneficiary has attained the age of 65 and they are enrolled in Part B. So that Medigap open enrollment period doesn't begin until both of those two things are true. During that 6-month window, the person is not subject to medical underwriting. That means you can get into these plans with cancer history, with diabetes, with stroke, with heart history, and not be uprated. Applications can also not be denied during those periods. And during this period, the carrier cannot apply any waiting, elimination, or probationary periods to the policies here. So the first best opportunity to enroll in a Medicare supplement, if your client chooses that is the best fit for their needs, or if you and your client work together to come to that conclusion, is the 6-month window when they're both 65 and enrolled in Part B. If someone becomes eligible for Medicare because they have ESRD or disability, so these are your folks who are under 65, they may enroll in a Medicare supplement plan, but it may not be the plan of their choice. Michigan, for example, requires any carrier working the Medicare supplement supplement market to make at least one Medicare supplement plan available to those who are under 65. Other state regulations may vary. Most carriers choose to offer only Part A, or sorry, Plan A to these folks, which isn't a great help to them. So you might want to shop around a little bit if you're in the Medicare supplement market working with someone under 65. Talking about guaranteed issue rights though, so what happens either during that Medicare supplement open enrollment period, or what happens when I have a guaranteed issue right? Generally speaking, these rights apply when the beneficiary has a change in other health coverage, whether that's a loss of their group coverage, their Medicare Advantage plan leaves the area, that can give them a GI right. And we may see more of that as carriers get stretched and pulled in different directions here ahead of CY 2026 product rollouts. If someone quits their Medicare Advantage plan within their first year of joining a Medicare Advantage plan for the very first time, they do have a guaranteed issue right to return to a Medicare supplement plan. If their Medigap carrier goes bankrupt or otherwise leaves the market, that would grant your folks guaranteed issue rights. Or if the carrier commits fraud or otherwise misleads the consumer as part of the enrollment process, that could grant guaranteed issue rights as well. When your clients have guaranteed issue rights, carriers must sell that policy. They must cover all pre-existing conditions on that policy, and they can't use medical underwriting to change that. So they must. So when a beneficiary has GI rights, they must get the rate that the healthiest individual would get, or the best rate that that carrier can offer in that particular market. So that's all good news. But what happens outside of that period? If I'm either outside of that 6-month Medicare supplement OEP, or I want to change plans, or enroll in a Medigap for the first time outside of that period. So carriers can use medical underwriting during those times. So they can ask questions about health history, and depending on how that health history shakes out, they may upcharge your clients on that premium. And some carriers can deny coverage as well. Word to the wise, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan does not deny coverage, although they will certainly apply underwriting and uprate folks. Other carriers like a Priority Health or United Healthcare may, can, will, and do deny coverage based on how those health underwriting questions shake out. So a good thing to know going forward, especially as you're looking around. By the way, if you're trying to explain some of those rate increases to folks as you're working with clients, and you won't see this on the AHIP, but just a good tidbit to know, is that because Blue doesn't reject anyone for coverage there, they have a more risk on their books, right? And sometimes more bad risk on their books. So if you see on occasion that their rates don't compare favorably to another carrier, that is likely some of the reason behind that. Free look periods, we should talk about those here as well. Maybe you're with a Medicare supplement policy, not sure if it's the right one for you. Maybe you have a G and you're looking at an N and you want to see how that feels, or maybe you want to move from one carrier's G to another G, or a G to a high deductible G, and you want to see how someone else's fitness program works. That's possible. You do have what a free look period is called, the tryout month. But it's not really free if you're going to enroll in both policies. So if you're considering a move from one G to another G, or a G to an N, and you want to try them both at the same time, you've got to pay both premiums during that 30-day period. And at the end of that month, you would need to terminate the policy at the end of that. Termination in that case, just like any Medicare supplement policy, is not automatic. The consumer, supported by you, in most cases, would need to take action to terminate that policy going forward. It's not like a Part C or a Part D plan where the coverage gets automatically terminated by CMS. Anytime someone makes a change to their med sup, they've got to take action to terminate it. Speaking of terminating policies, how do you drop one, or how can your clients get dropped? A few big reasons here. Policies for MedSup are guaranteed renewable, except in these 3 cases. If your consumer doesn't pay premiums, well, of course, the carrier is going to terminate them. That's going to happen. If your consumer was found to have commit fraud, or they said something untrue on their application, so they said, I'm clean, clean bill of health, but I'm actually taking all these medications for COPD and heart failure, the carrier can come back and choose to not non-renew or contest that policy. Or if the carrier goes bankrupt or otherwise leaves the market, again, that policy could not be renewed. On the right-hand side, I did see this come up in the language in AHIP, but not any of the test questions I saw, although it may be a test question out there. Any policy bought before 1992 may not be guaranteed renewable, although there's a lot of hurdles the carrier has to jump through to terminate that policy. They've got to get state approval to terminate that. And if they do so, the individual would have their guaranteed issue right to purchase another Medicare supplement policy there. It's not likely you have many policies on your books still sold before 1992, but maybe there was one sold to someone that was under 65 at that point. And they've held on to it for a good reason. I can't imagine many cases you'd run into that on that odd curveball here, but if you do, there is the answer to it. Let's visit James for a moment here. He turned 65 last month and has both Medicare Parts A and B. He's concerned, though, that his type 1 diabetes might impact the premiums he pays for a Medicare supplement plan. What could you say to reassure him? A, he's within his MedSup open enrollment period and has guaranteed issue rights. B, he's within his MedSup open enrollment period, but his health history may impact the premium that he pays. Or C, he's outside of his MedSup open enrollment period and is subject to medical underwriting. Go ahead and put your answer in the chat. And if you are saying A is absolutely all of you are correct. He's within his open enrollment period, has guaranteed issue rights, so he can't be operated based on having type 1 diabetes or any other health condition. He'll pay the same premium as a healthy individual would on that plan, as long as he enrolls within that window. Kevin, what else do we need to know about enrollment here at this point?
I just want to go off what you were saying earlier about if you're trying to enroll a client in a Medicare supplement plan and they are non-guaranteed issue, please be aware that Blue Cross is the only carrier that will approve them regardless of their health issues. And if you ever need us to run a quote for you, you can send that application to us. We'll put it in, and then we'll let you know what the rate is before you actually go through all the way with the enrollment.
Absolutely. Just one more way we make selling health insurance a bit easier for all of our agent partners. Happy to run those quotes for you. Kevin's team, rather, is happy to run those quotes for you. If you sent one to me, I wouldn't send it away, but I'd probably ask Kevin to do it too. Side note, I had a small drinking problem on the camera there. So if you saw me jump a little bit, it's because I had water escape my mouth there at the moment. Anyway, let's move forward here and talk about how MedSups work. What's their function? What do they cost? What are your clients going to have to pay? All of these good things to know as you take a look at your AHIP prep. So we should know that there are states in 47 states, including Michigan, Medicare supplement policies are standardized. So a Plan G is a Plan G is a Plan G, no matter what carrier you go to. A Plan N is a Plan N, a Plan A is a Plan A. All looks the same. What changes is the rates and any supplemental benefits they add to that coverage, like gym memberships, vision, dental hearing discounts, whatever the case might be. We should note that Plan A is the leanest coverage you're going to see, covers the fewest benefits. Plan G, of course, is the richest coverage you're going to see. Plan N, coming in a tight second place here as well. But the big thing to take away here is take a look at Plan C and Plan F. And the big question you're going to run into at least once in your question bank is plans that cover the Part B deductible. So Plan C covers the Part D deductible, and so does Plan F. Those plans you cannot be sold to anyone who had a Medicare effective date after January 1st of 2020. So if you are working with someone who is just aging in, they are not eligible to enroll in a Plan C or F. So anyone with an effective date after January 1, 2020 cannot enroll in a plan that pays for the Part B deductible. Everyone else, they've got to pay for their Part B deductible. I emphasize that a few different times for a very good reason. You will likely see a question or two about that, depending again on how AHIP throws the questions at you. There's like 200 questions they can draw from. They give you 50 in per exam attempt, and I would bet you that you're going to see that one at least once or twice. Other things to know, just in case you're curious, who do we support here? We've talked, of course, about Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan and the plans that they support here, but we also work with a number of other Medicare supplement carriers, including GTL, Humana, McLaren, Health Plan, Priority Health, United Healthcare, and Wellaby. You ever need to run numbers from one or the other against each other, we're happy to help you do that with all the tools we have at our disposal, especially as the market gets more volatile and your clients are seeing more and more 12 and 13%, 15%, 19% increases on their Gs. We can help you look for other options, assuming, of course, we can help you, they can get through underwriting. And by the way, not entirely a sales pitch, but if you do have someone in that case that's finding themselves priced out of a plan G, of course, a plan N is an option, but also take a hard look at Wellaby. They do have simplified underwriting for their non-GI plans. And that simplified underwriting, they say about 80% of their apps get approved based on just height and weight alone. That's it. That's the only health questions they ask for 80% of their folks. If there's another issue, again, that makes them think they need to ask about it, that those 20% that might need some additional underwriting, that can happen. But if you're looking for somewhere to go because you need to get into a lower rated plan N or a lower premium plan N, and they might have to go through underwriting, not a bad option to have in your pocket. Okay, getting off the soapbox, going forward here, talking about rating in general. Medicare supplements can be rated in 3 different ways. They can go through attained age rating, where the premium is based on the beneficiary's current age and does increase with the age. So you enroll at 65, you're going to see a bump at 66, 67, 68, all the way up until likely the age 81 year or so. Some plans, though none of the ones we support, and really I think you'd be hard pressed to find any of these on the market anywhere, are only sold on issue range. So if you enroll when you're 65, you get that same rate forever. I don't think you're going to run into one, but it is a possibility. And other plans are community rated, where the premiums are based on where the beneficiary lives and other factors. United Healthcare, for example, their plans technically are community rated, but what they do is they give you a 3% discount off their 81-year-old rate for every year you're under 65. So it effectively turns it into or simulates that attained age rating plan. Either way, the big thing to take away here is the difference between the 3 rating types. Again, you can see that I saw that in the reading, right, on the AHIP modules. I did not run into any questions in my experience taking the exam, and I don't think I've run into it in any of the past 4 or 5 years I've been taking AHIP. But again, not a bad thing to have in your pocket. Let's pause and talk about these real quick here. Which of the following statements is or are true? Keeping in mind that more than one may be true. Is it A, all med sup plans will cover 80% of the cost of foreign travel emergencies? Hint, I give you this chart over here for a pretty good reason. B, members with effective dates after 1/1/2020 are not eligible for plans that pay for the Part B deductible. Talked about that a few times too. Or is it C, all Medicare supplement plans will cover at least part of the coinsurance for Part B services? Which statement or statements are true? Please put the letter or letters in the chat. Yep, I emphasize letters for a reason here in this case. B and C are both true. Both good things to take away, good things to file away as in your little mental filing cabinets as you get ready for your AHIP exam, especially this Part B one where they talk about Plan C, or sorry, this answer choice B, where they talk about Plan C and F, that folks with effective dates after 2020 are not eligible for those. Kevin, what else should we know about how med subs work or coverage or anything else that's on your mind here?
I don't really have anything to add at this time besides please make sure that you are available on August 14th so you can attend our AEP kickoff summit.
Yeah, We'll have representatives of all those carriers here, ready to talk to you about their products, not just MedSup, but everything they anticipate coming for contract year 2026 as well. All right, so there's the MedSup portion of our presentation, all tied up in a nice little bow for you. Let's shift gears, talk about PDPs, because they probably go together in your brains, should go together in your brains like peanut butter and jelly, which is why we have the graphic here. And this is how we build comprehensive coverage for our clients. So let's talk about eligibility first. If to enroll in a Part D plan, you must have either Medicare Part A and or B, emphasis on the or, A or B, and reside in the plan service area. So I ran into two questions in my Bank of 50 that asked me about eligibility for Part D coverage. One of them asked me about someone who just had Part A. One of them asked me about someone who just had Part B, who for whatever reason didn't pick up Part A. I don't know, I didn't write the test, it's just a question I ran into. Either of those people could be eligible for Part D coverage. You can access Part D coverage either through a standalone Medicare prescription drug plan or through most Medicare Advantage plans. Again, not all. So those plans carve out drug coverage, and there's a variety of reasons they might do that. But those are the two main routes you'll access coverage here. And these plans, again, are run by private companies that contract with Medicare. We should note that the premium for these plans is not automatically deducted for the Social Security benefit, and these plans are always optional, but your folks will incur a lifetime penalty for late enrollment unless they had circumstances that made it otherwise. We should also note that high income beneficiaries may be subject to IRMA, which is the income related monthly adjustment amount. That amount is deducted from the Social Security benefit, but doesn't have any bearing on the premium charged by private carriers. Although the private carriers will collect late enrollment penalties and such, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. All confusing, I know. So what does IRMA look like and who has to worry about it? And what it does is the IRS and CMS and all the S's take a look back at the tax filing from 2 years ago. So here in contract year 2025, they look at the person's tax filing status in 2023, whether they were an individual, whether they were married filing jointly or married filing separately. And if they made $106,000 or less, they're only responsible for their Part D plan premium. If they fall into one of these brackets going upward, all the way to anyone making $500,000 or less who has an IRMA charge of $85.80 per month, that gets tacked on and again gets deducted from their Social Security benefit. The figures do vary for married filing jointly and married filing separately. I did not run into any specific questions about this or about brackets, so no need to commit these to memory necessarily for the purposes of AHIP, but you will want to know that IRMA exists and can result in a premium upcharge. We should also talk about Medicare Part D cost sharing phases, and even though it's been around for a little bit here, I want to make sure that we all know that there's only 3 cost sharing phases to worry about. Stage 1 is that deductible phase. So during that phase, your many Part D plans, of course, do have that standard deductible, and your beneficiary will pay the full negotiated price until that deductible is reached. Some Part D plans do not have a deductible though, and so your client starts in phase 2 or the initial coverage stage. Co-pays and co-insurance will vary by plans here, but generally speaking, if your carrier or the carrier uses the standard benefit design, the enrollee is going to have a 25% co-insurance. The Part D plan is going to pay 65% of it, and your manufacturers are going to pay the remaining 10% of the cost of that drug. Your beneficiaries will remain in that phase until they reach the out-of-pocket cap. We should point out that the $2,000 cap that's in place this year raised the $2,100 in 2026. The $2,000 was a little too good to be true, wouldn't hold on forever, but that is related to, it does increase and is indexed to the number of and the amount of Part D claims that CMS pays out each year. So that Part D cap will likely continue to increase year over year here as well. In stage 3, once you've hit that either $2,000 this year or $2,100 next year, you're into the catastrophic phase. Your beneficiaries no longer have any cost sharing responsibilities. Part D plans do cover 60% of drug costs instead of that previous 20%. Manufacturers and Medicare then each cover the 20% to get to your total 100%. So if you're looking for a reason why Part D premiums are increasing, well, it's because your Part D plans have to shoulder more of the cost burden here. They lost the lobbying war in Congress on this one. Talking about LEPs, if your beneficiary does not enroll when they're first eligible, or they have a break in creditable coverage of more than 63 days. When we say creditable coverage, we mean coverage that is at least as good as a Part D plan would offer. They can be assessed a late enrollment penalty, and that penalty is determined annually, so it's recalculated each year. What CMS does is it takes a look at all the Part D plans offered across the nation, the standalone Part D plans that is, and figures out what the national base Part D premium is, and then figures out what 1% of that is. For every month your clients were eligible but not enrolled in Part D and did not have creditable coverage, they tack on 1% per month. And that continues for the entire duration of Part D coverage. So it can, in fact, be a lifetime penalty that is added to the Part D plan premium and is collected by the Part D sponsor or the Part D carrier. Should also point out a few things that have happened to Part D as a result of the Inflation Reduction Act. What you'll run into in AHIP here is right here, this figure here in 2026. Other things here are just good to know. Recall that in 2023 was sort of the last, the normal year, so to speak, of the Part D design. Drug companies at that time were required to pay rebates if their drugs prices rose faster than inflation. That's when we first saw insulin copays limited to $35 per month, and costs for adult vaccines were limited. In 2024 is where we saw the elimination of the 5% co-insurance for that catastrophic stage and expanded eligibility for Part D LIS, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, for anyone earning up to 150% of FPL. This year is where we saw the $2,000 cap. That cap rise to $2,100 next year. And we'll continue to see the impacts of drug price negotiation go into effect here beginning on January 1, 2026 as well. Again, I didn't run into questions about drug price negotiation, at least when I went through my exam. There are a few slides and screens about it in that portion of the AHIP, but probably not something they're testing you on because it's not there yet, right? We should note that we do need to talk about LIS and extra help there. At a minimum, you need to know that it does help beneficiaries pay for some or most of their Part D costs. Folks that are eligible for low-income subsidies or extra help based on their income pays $0 premiums for Part D, a $0 deductible, and generally speaking, reduced copays for both generic and brand name drugs here as well. So let's talk about Jasmine. Jasmine takes several maintenance medications to help control both cholesterol and blood pressure. She wants to explore prescription coverage to reduce her out-of-pocket costs. Which statements are true for Jasmine? Is it A, she may first have to meet a deductible before her Part D plan helps with her drug costs? B, Medicare will deduct an additional amount from her Social Security benefit if her income exceeds $106,000. Or C, she'll have no copayments during this year, 2025, if her out-of-pocket costs exceed $2,000. Which of those statements are true? Keeping in mind more than one could be true. If you are saying all of them are true, you are correct. $106,000 is that threshold for someone who is a single tax filer. So if she has income exceeding more than that, she'll be assessed that IRMA penalty. Again, you probably won't see a question about specific figures here. I'm just challenging you a little bit here. But do know that IRMA is something she could be subject to. And if her income did exceed $106,000 here, she would be forced to pay that penalty with that adjustment amount. Kevin, what else should we know about LEPs, IRMA, or anything else about Part D coverage?
So if your client receives a late enrollment penalty, please mention to them that they need to pay that LEP each month, because even if they are in a situation where they have a zero premium plan, they still can get terminated for not paying that LEP. And I'm only mentioning this because I've been seeing it happen a lot recently. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Glenn, for pointing out IRMA conversations here as well. You don't often, or at least we haven't heard folks really sniff at the Part D IRMA. What they really scowl about is Part B IRMA when they enroll. Like, I don't want to pay you $100 a month for Medicare, or whatever that exact figure happens to be. I don't have that particular side in front of me. And folks try to avoid enrolling in Part B for as long as they can because they don't want to stomach it, right? But guess what? If you delay that as past your initial enrollment period, or past when you'd be eligible for a special enrollment period after you lose work, you're also paying that LEP based on that amount here as well. So that adds up quickly. So advice to anyone who's balking at IRMA charges, enroll anyway, bite the bullet, because the LEP will only make things worse, will never make things better in terms of their liabilities. Yeah, you're right, Cindy. People that are working toward their IRMAs and all of a sudden find themselves, or working toward retirement and find themselves saddled with an IRMA, that can really hamstring things, right? And so it's important, though you are not financial planners, you are aware of IRMA charges. So if you are happening to talk to folks before they age in, before they turn 65, great thing to always bring up with folks so that they can work with their financial planners, or maybe a financial planner in your network, and really plan for that possibility, depending on what their income could look like. Again, doesn't help us prepare for AHIP, but good, what's good for the goose is good for the gander here in terms of providing that advice. How do I enroll in Part D? When can I enroll in Part D? There's a few different ways you might access an IEP for Part D. And the first one is maybe you're newly eligible to Medicare because you just turned 65, and they can sign up for a Part D plan during that original Medicare IEP. Or if they have that Medicare Advantage trial right during that first year of Medicare Advantage enrollment, they choose to disenroll from Medicare Advantage and go back to original Medicare, they can also enroll in a Part D plan then. If they are newly eligible for Medicare, but they're disabled and under 65, they have rights to sign up for a Part D plan. Although, again, remember that Medicare coverage starts on that 25th month of disability payments. They do have an enrollment period that starts from the 21st month, lasts to the 28th month of disability payments. So they have the ability to figure out when they're going to enroll or what they'll enroll in, but coverage can't start until that 25th month of disability payments are paid, because that's when their Part A and or B becomes effective. If they're already eligible for Medicare because they were disabled and now they're turning 65, it's kind of like they get a brand new original Medicare IEP. Never saw that question come up on AHIP, but it's good for you to know as agents. Turning 65 when they were already on Medicare because they were disabled is like a brand new shot at everything here. It's brand new IEP for them to make all their Medicare choices here. If they have Part A and they enroll in Part B for the first time during the general enrollment period, that's that period between January 1st and March 31st each year, they can sign up for MAPD plan or a Part D coverage there as well. There are some yearly periods where they can make some adjustments to Part D coverage. We should point out that during AEP, whatever they want to do, for the most part, is with their prescription drug coverage is on the table. They can join a PDP for the first time. They can switch from one PDP to another, or they could drop prescription drug coverage completely, though there are few good reasons that would ever be a good option. Those changes, whatever change they make, would take effect on January 1st. During the MAOEP, and here is a question you will likely run into, is what kind of changes can or can't they make to their drug coverage during MAOEP? And the big thing I need you to know there is MAOEP is only built for folks who are already in a Medicare Advantage plan. as of January 1st of that year. If you are in a Medicare Advantage plan, you can switch from that plan to another plan with or without drug coverage, or you can choose to disenroll from a Medicare Advantage plan and go back to your original Medicare. That does give you the choice to enroll in a Medicare prescription drug plan. But if you're also one of these folks where MAOEP happens to coincide with your first year in an MA plan, if you're enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan during your IEP, you change to another Medicare Advantage plan with or without drug coverage, or you go back to original Medicare, that would give you a chance to enroll in a Part D plan as well. We should point out, though, that during MAOEP, folks cannot go from original Medicare to a Medicare Advantage plan. They cannot join a plan for a drug plan for the first time if they're in original Medicare, nor can they switch Medicare prescription drug plans during MAOEP. Again, only built for your folks that have a Medicare Advantage plan as of January 1st of that plan year. For special enrollment periods, we should point out that the special enrollment period for PDPs is 63 days. That's all you get to make drug coverage. So if you lose other creditable drug coverage, like you are losing or retiring from your employer health plan, your Part D plan closes up shop and is no longer offered, or your MAPD plan closes up shop and is no longer in the area, you've got 63 days to find other creditable drug coverage. And those those plans closing up shop would fall into the category of other exceptional circumstances here. Let's talk about Jasmine real quick for the last time here today. Under which of the following circumstances would she be able to enroll in a Medicare prescription drug plan? Is it A, during her initial enrollment period, B, if she goes back to original Medicare during Medicare Advantage open enrollment, or C, anytime during the calendar year? When might she be able to enroll in a Part D plan? Yep, here again, A and B are true. If she does, of course, she can do almost anything she wants during the initial enrollment period. But during that MAOEP, she can drop that MA plan, go back to original Medicare, and pick up a Part D plan during that time. She cannot, however, enroll anytime during the calendar year. That's the Med Sup business where she can enroll at any time, though she may be subject to underwriting. Kevin, what should we know about Part D enrollment here?
Nothing really about Part D enrollment, but I just want to say, as you are preparing to take AHIP, please do not stress over it. Try your best, and if you failed the first time, please give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you pass the test. Whether you want to call us, we can talk through it there, or you can even visit our office, or I'll drive anywhere to wherever you're at, I'll help you.
Yeah, and that's true for anyone on our individual team. Always happy to help our agents out. It's in our best interest, shamelessly, like if you are selling and certified and earning renewal commissions, but it's also in your best interest if you are selling and certified and earning renewal and new business commissions here as well. So whatever we can do to help you, make sure you're adequately prepared. Always happy to do so. The answers here, by the way, are A and B, and we already said that though, so let's just wrap up the day here, right? Big things to keep in mind going forward here. Original Medicare, Medicare Supplement, and your Part D plans will combine to provide comprehensive coverage for your members. Generally speaking, if you're enrolling in Medicare Sub, Part D is a really good choice unless you've got drug coverage from another source, like the VA or whatever that might happen to be. It is best to enroll in each of these during that initial enrollment period to avoid LEPs and ensure continuity of benefits. Although there are exceptions where you may have a special enrollment period because that person is continuing to work past their initial enrollment period. And of course, you'd want to make sure they're enrolled as soon as you know there's going to be a change in their health coverage or employment status. And again, your fit for med subs is in PDP. That combo is those folks who prefer to pay upfront for care. You know, in insurance, it's always, are you going to pay me now or pay me later? If those, especially for folks who may have a fixed income, the MedSup PDP combo can work really well for them because they can really kind of anticipate their costs month over month. They're not as variable as you might see on the Medicare Supplement market, Medicare Advantage market, although there can be an allure to those zero premium plans, certainly for some of those more vulnerable consumers. All that said, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your time and attention and welcome your questions here at this point. Please go ahead and share those as you might be, whether it's in the chat or in the Q&A. Kevin and I are happy to look at that and spend some time with you, making sure you're ready to take your AHIP. As always, we want to thank you for your time and attention. Should you have any questions, please let Kevin or I know. Always happy to help however we can. And again, we want to thank you for joining us here today. Before we take a look at what's coming in chat and Q&A, Kevin, any parting words for our agent friends here?
Again, just thank you for spending your morning with us. I hope you learned a lot. And again, if you have any questions on any of this, please feel free to call, email, whatever works best for you, and we're more than happy to help you.
All right. And no questions turns out coming in, just lots of thank yous. So thank you all for spending the time with us. As Kevin said, always appreciate the chance to do business and the chance to really help you grow your business and be ready for your AHIP exams.